So today, let's dive into a legal battle that was just epic. It pitted regular people against the massive force of industrial development and government power. This is the story of the Phut case, a true David versus Goliath fight for the right to breathe clean air. And it all kicked off with one critical decision.
Right here, this is the place where it all went down. In 2009, from inside this very building, Thailand's Supreme Administrative Court handed down an order that sent absolute shockwaves across the country. It was a decision that would challenge the very idea of progress and put the nation's new constitution to the ultimate test.
And this whole story really boils down to one simple but huge question. Can a law, just words on a piece of paper, actually protect real people on the ground? What happens when a government just ignores its own rules? Can paper stand up to bulldozers? Well, let's find out.
To really get why this court case was such a big deal, you first have to understand the crisis. This wasn't some abstract legal debate. For the people living in Phut, this was a matter of life and death.
So, Phut was one of the biggest industrial zones in Thailand, a real engine of the economy. But that growth came at a terrible price. The community was literally being choked by pollution in the air and the water. We're talking about widespread sickness, respiratory diseases. It was a terrifyingly common part of daily life.
And look, this wasn't some hidden secret. The government knew. In fact, things were so bad, the government itself had already declared Phut a pollution control zone. Just think about that for a second. That's an official admission that the area was dangerously toxic.
So, in a place the government itself called a disaster zone, what do you think happened next? They approved more projects. A lot more. How many, you ask? 76. Yep, you heard that right. 76 brand new industrial, transport, and energy projects got the green light to be built right there.
But while all that was going on, something else was quietly taking shape in the nation's capital. A brand new constitution was being written, and tucked inside it was a powerful new legal tool, a shield, really, designed for communities exactly like Phut.
This was the game changer, Section 67. It was written into Thailand's 2007 constitution for one very clear reason: to stop dangerous projects in their tracks before they could do severe harm to people and their environment.
Now, the thing about Section 67 is it wasn't just some nice idea. It had teeth. It laid out a really clear, mandatory three-step process. Before a big project got the okay, you had to study the health and environmental impacts, you had to hold public hearings and actually listen to the people who lived there, and you had to get an opinion from an independent group of experts. No shortcuts.
And this slide, this really shows you what a massive change this was. We're talking about a total flip in philosophy. The old way was basically permit and pollute. You just approve the project first, build it, and then maybe try to clean up the mess later. The new way under Section 67 was all about prevent and protect. You assess the impact first, you listen to citizens before you build. It's a completely different mindset.
So, you've got a community in crisis. You've got this new constitutional shield designed to protect them, and you've got 76 new projects barreling down the tracks. What happened next? Well, the government agencies basically just pretended Section 67 didn't exist, which set the stage for a historic showdown.
And this just perfectly lays out the matchup, doesn't it? On one side, you've got 43 plaintiffs. We're talking local residents, environmental groups. And on the other side, the full weight of the state. 8 different government agencies, including the really powerful ones like the National Environment Board and the Ministries of Industry and Energy.
So here's how it all went down, step by step. August 2007, the new constitution becomes law. But then, for the next 2 years, the agencies just kept on approving projects, one after another, all 76 of them, completely ignoring the new rules. The citizens, they wrote letters, they protested, but they got nothing but silence. So in 2009, they played their last card. They sued their own government. So the case lands in the administrative court, and you can bet the whole country was holding its breath. Would the judges actually dare to step in, to halt billions of dollars in development just to uphold some words in the Constitution? The court's reasoning was just so clear and so powerful, they looked at Section 67 and basically said, look, the whole point of this law isn't to figure out how to manage pollution after it's already in the air. The point is to stop that devastating harm from ever happening in the first place. It's about prevention. And then came this incredible statement. The court tackled the "but what about the economy" argument head on. They declared that, yeah, economic growth is important, but it can't be an excuse to break the law.
to trample on citizens' rights, or to sacrifice their health for profit.
And so, after weighing it all up, the Constitution on one side, the industrial plans on the other, the court made its decision. The verdict came down, and it was just 2 words.
And that was it. That was the moment the bulldozers had to stop. The court ordered an immediate suspension of every single one of those 76 projects. Construction stopped, permits were frozen, everything was put on ice until the government went back and did what the Constitution told them to do from the very beginning.
Now that injunction was technically a temporary stop, but its shockwaves, those were permanent. The map to Phut case became a defining moment, and its legacy is still shaping environmental policy to this day.
So why do we still talk about this case? What did it really change? Well, for starters, it showed citizens that their right to a healthy environment wasn't just a nice idea. It was a constitutional guarantee they could actually fight for in court. It sent a powerful message that the Constitution isn't optional, not even for the government. It also forced the state to finally create the clear rules that Section 67 required. And it proved that a strong, independent judiciary can be a vital check on power.
When you boil it all down, the Phut case was this incredible reminder that the law isn't just for governments and big corporations. In the right hands, with a courageous court, it can be a shield for the people, a real tool for justice, and a voice for those who refuse to be silent. And that leaves all of us with a question that, honestly, every single country is still trying to figure out. How do we build our economies without wrecking our communities? Where is that right balance between progress and protection? The Phut case doesn't give us the final answer, but it sure shows us the crucial role the rule of law has to play in finding it.